Welcome into Bengals Breakdown. I am your host, Stone Shields, and coming up on today's show, we're going to be talking about the great news that the Cincinnati Bengals got from the NFL today. Of course, all the owners and coaches are down in Florida right now with their off-season meetings, and we've got some rule changes that are going to be implemented for the 2025 season, and I think it's good news for really the entirety of the National Football League, but more specifically the Cincinnati Bengals, how they play their play style, and I think these rules really go hand in hand, and I'm really excited that these rules changes are going to be taking place. Like I said, significant benefit for the Cincinnati Bengals. Before we dive into breaking that all down here on today's show, make sure you guys give me a follow over on Twitter at StoneShields_. Of course, a new month. It is April 1st here, and we are looking to get to 600 followers here on Twitter by the end of the month of April. I think we certainly can do that. We already are relatively close there. I believe we only have 40 or so followers we need in order to make that happen. But all of our Bengals Breakdown content will be posted to my Twitter page. You'll also find a lot more short-form content up there these days as well. So help me out. Give me a follow for all Bengals updates on my personal Twitter at StoneShields_. All right, change number one. This is the one I am the most excited about. Both teams are going to have the opportunity to possess the ball in overtime. And really, we'll get to your guys' one-word reaction here in a second, but my one-word reaction, finally, right? It kind of is hard for me to kind of wrap my head around the fact that, hey, this is the NFL. This is the most viewed sport in the world, right? And we have guys out there that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, and they can finish the game at the end of regulation being tied. And then we're going to let a coin flip decide ultimately who's going to win the game. Obviously not fully decide, but have a significant impact on who wins the game. It's just honestly laughable to me that it's taken this long, but finally the NFL has gotten this right. For the regular season, we've seen the changes for the postseason, but now all regular season games, coin flip, don't have to worry about it. Obviously, you're still going to flip a coin, see who gets the ball first, so you get, the strategic advantage, right, knowing what you got to do on your first drive. I get that. But the team that doesn't win the coin flip, if their defense gives up a touchdown on the opening possession in overtime, that is okay. The offense is going to have a chance to go out there and perhaps tie the game as well. Joe Burrow is always going to have a chance for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think as a Bengals fan, that should make all of us very, very happy, right? We know the Bengals, they're going to, continue to probably play the way that they do, right? Mess around and find themselves in games that shouldn't be as close as they are, and they come storming back at the end, force a game to overtime. Well, now you don't have to worry about Joe Burrow not touching the ball in overtime. He will always touch the ball. And I think, really, the teams that benefit the most from this are the teams with the elite quarterbacks. You're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Buffalo Bills really are the main ones that stick out to me in my mind because they've got guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow that are leading their football team. And it really is an advantage when you have those guys knowing that if a game goes to overtime, they're going to have an opportunity to touch the ball. Out of all the rule changes that we're going to be discussing here on today's show, I am mostly stoked about that one. Overtime going to be a lot less stressful for Bengals fans here in the future. What is your one-word reaction to the new overtime rules? Let me know in the comments of today's show. By the way, I didn't touch on this. It's still going to be a 10-minute period, and if it's tied at the end of the 10-minute period in the regular season, it's going to be a tie game. So I did want to make note of that. But one-word reaction to the new overtime rules. If that ad comes here on YouTube, that's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Get down in the comments. Let us know what you think. All right, next change here we're going to discuss on today's show. The NFL will be modifying their kickoff rules for 2025 and beyond. It's going to break down what exactly this looks like. Schefter put a tweet out earlier this morning, kind of breaking things down. He said NFL's kickoff proposal was separated into two votes today, one that passed and one that was tabled. By the way, we're going to get into something later in today's show, something else that was also tabled, which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of at this point. The football now moves to the 35 after a touchback. That passed. No vote at this time on the onside kick modification. It will pick back up at the May meeting. Real quickly on that, I think it really looks like the NFL, they don't just want the kickoff to just be, something that doesn't matter. They're trying to make it matter more, and I don't have a problem with that. That second part there, they got to do something with the onside kick. I would like to see the onside kick at least have a chance of getting recovered, and we know last year really that wasn't something that was possible. Kevin Seifert of ESPN also put this tweet out as well, saying, with this touchback spot change, the NFL has been projecting an increase in the return rate from approximately 33% in 2024 to between 60 and 70% in 2025. There are some downstream aspects that could come into play in terms of field position, scoring, game management when you add that many plays. And I think for Cincinnati, this also is very good news. Maybe not as good news as the overtime rules, but Cincinnati has really been great on special teams. Taking a look here what Paul Dehner Jr. had to say. Does a fantastic job covering the Cincinnati Bengals for The Athletic. I really agree with these points here from Paul. He said the idea of a huge jump in kickoff return should be viewed as good news for the Bengals, who handled the new kickoff as well as anyone last year, ranked second in yards per return allowed and eighth in yards per return, including a touchdown. Those results aren't necessarily predictive year over year, but special teams coordinator Darren Simmons building off a solid foundation. Really, my takeaway from this is this just increases the importance of the special teams coordinator, these new rules, and the Bengals got best in the business, right? Darren Simmons, this is a guy that's been the special teams coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals since 2003. He really has been a mainstay in this organization. There's a reason why he's been around this long. He is elite at his job. You might be saying, oh, they're not that great on special teams. You guys are thinking about the field goals that they missed. I understand that. But from, a kick return, trying to tackle guys on the kick return, right, and trying to get some chunk yards. Really, I think the Bengals have done a phenomenal job with that. And now that there is more on Darren Simmons' plate, I think that is a win for the Cincinnati Bengals. And obviously, they like what they have in Charlie Jones there at that return spot. Believe he can offer some juice for them as well. But from a protection standpoint, preventing teams from going down and advancing the ball far on kickoffs, I think you got to feel really good about what Cincinnati has in Darren Simmons. I think this new rule is good for the Cincinnati Bengals as well. We'll continue here in a moment, but first, a shout-out to our friends over at Fanatics. I want to let you guys know that Bengals draft hats are out now. They are available now, chatsports.com/Bengals draft hats. They've got a bunch of cool ones up there. We'll get some new pictures up here to show you guys in our videos here momentarily in a future video. But they've got some really cool ones up there. Really encourage you guys to check them out, chatsports.com/Bengals draft hats. We'll put that in the comment section and the description of today's show. Big shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. Got some great stuff, great Cincinnati Bengals swag. Really encourage you guys to get over to Fanatics and check some of that out. More news to get to here on today's show. New video assist review rules are going to be kind of in play here. Let's break some of these down. Now, unfortunately, the rule only applies to face masks, defenseless players, horse collar tackles, tripping, and roughing the kicker. Obviously, there are some things that are missing from this list, right? When you're talking about some of the roughing the passer stuff and the unnecessary roughness stuff as well. But basically, just going to read this off here. Expand instant replay's ability to advise the on-field officials on specific objective aspects of the plays and or address game administration issues when clear and obvious video evidence is present. So basically, I think it's good that the NFL is kind of making some adjustments here, trying to get these plays right. Look, we're at a point at this day and age here in 2025. There's all kinds of technology. The NFL is the most popular sport on the planet. There is no reason that some things should get called incorrectly, right? You've got all the technology right there in front of you. Just use it and let the players and coaches go out there and dictate what exactly happens in the game. It can only be applied if a flag is thrown, right? So it's not one of those situations where, well, if a flag wasn't thrown, you can go take a look at this. Obviously not the case. I would like to see more stuff happen with the unnecessary roughness and the roughing the passer stuff, which wasn't laid out here by the NFL. There's been so many, roughing the passer / unnecessary roughness penalties that just kind of make you scratch your head. Don't want to pick on those guys up in Kansas City, but Patrick Mahomes, obviously this was from the playoff game against Houston when essentially two Houston defenders ran into each other, and then they got flagged for unnecessary roughness against Mahomes, but really they just ran into each other. Like, it was kind of a whole thing if you remember that back in the playoffs. The NFL's got to figure that out. So really like that they've made some adjustments, but they got to figure out the unnecessary roughness and the roughing the passer stuff. I get it. You want your star quarterbacks to not get hurt. But at the end of the day, it is football, right? This isn't flag football. It is tackle football. You got guys out there that are getting popped. Those linebackers, running backs, they're getting hit hard. Those quarterbacks, back in the day, they were getting hit hard too. I want to see the quarterback stay on the field, obviously, but they got to figure out what they're going to do here with this roughing the passer stuff and this unnecessary roughness stuff, because it kind of is just a little bit too soft, and it's kind of ruining football a little bit, in my opinion. Another opportunity for you guys to get involved with our show here on Bengals Breakdown. Name a rule change you would like to see. Could it be something along the lines of roughing the passer / unnecessary roughness, or you got something in your mind that you came up with? We want to know what you guys think in the comments right now. Tush push. Let's talk tush push here on today's show. This has not been banned yet. Said earlier in the show about something else that was being tabled. This tush push conversation is being tabled as well. Going to get readdressed in the springtime. 16 teams voted on banning it, and they need 8 more teams to vote for banning the play. I don't really know if they're going to get that. Look, I know I'm supposed to come on here and give strong opinions or whatever, but when it comes to the tush push, it's kind of whatever for me. I certainly get. Look, if this was Eagles now, if I was Chase Sr., I would be all fired up about this, saying this is ridiculous that they're trying to ban it, right? Because it's something that the Eagles do a great job of. It'd be one thing, right, if it was a play that any team ran and it had a 100% success rate. But that's not the case. Nobody runs it as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to give them some credit for that. But at the same time, do I think it's a football play? No, right? It's just a bunch of people, getting up. It's kind of more of a rugby play, right? That's kind of the analogy that a lot of people tend to use when they're talking about the tush push. I don't have strong feelings on it. If it gets banned, okay. If it doesn't, okay, we'll continue with it. I don't really feel too significantly one way or the other. But for now, being tabled, and they will readdress it in the future. A couple of more items we will hit before we get out of here on today's show. We got a change to free agency. Here's what Albert Breer had to say. He said the Steelers' proposal to allow for Zoom calls during the legal tampering period and for visits to be lined up ahead of the start of the league year did pass. That's a significant change to free agency. Okay, for us as fans, really doesn't mean much. Obviously, for teams and players, that is significant. But the fact that they could, jump on a Zoom during the legal tampering period, and it can't meet but can hop on a Zoom, obviously that can kind of expedite the process of somebody potentially signing with a new team. Also, another update here when it comes to the chain gang. The NFL announced that Sony's Hawkeye technology will be used next season to electronically measure first downs. The chain crew is remaining on the sideline as backup, but a new era is officially underway. Kind of what I was touching on at the beginning of today's show. It's 2025. There's AI. There's all kinds of this crazy technology. You might as well use it so you can, get the calls right on the field. Now, I do love how the chain crew is going to be there as a backup. That's kind of what, I worry about as we get more technologically advanced. I don't want to change the game completely, right? You're talking about in baseball, right? Just getting rid of the umps. I think you can overrule the umps, but just to pull them out from behind home plate, that's not baseball, right? That's kind of how I feel here about the chain gang. Don't make them the first, resource to determine what exactly is the spot of the football, but still keep them out there, still make them, have a job. I think this probably is a good idea by the NFL, exactly how they have this set up. Lastly, let's talk 18-game season. This is something that was not, made official today by any means. Something that the NFL is going to address once again in the spring. We've talked about this a little bit here on today's show. By the way, it does feel inevitable that it's only a matter of time before the NFL, in fact, does play an 18-game season. And Joe Burrow has discussed this in the past, and I just kind of wanted to bring it back up here on today's show because really Burrow's proposal is the best one that I have heard and the best one that I can come up with. You need that second bye, right, if you're having an 18-game season. And I think that everybody should have the second bye at the same time, right? I think it's got to be a universal thing. The reason why you need the second bye, you might have your first bye like week 4 or 5, and then you just got to go all the way to the end of the season. And if the playoffs are beyond that, that's just too much on these guys. The violent game, and these guys are already getting significantly beat up. I like what Burrow had to say. That second bye, could you use it as a Pro Bowl week? Everybody just has a chance to kind of regroup, get their bodies fresh before they go into that last part of the season. That's the best thing I've heard thus far, and that's just not just me being a homer with Joe Burrow. I haven't heard of somebody come up with a better idea. So it'll be interesting, but the NFL has to make an adjustment with their bye weeks if they are going to indeed make it an 18-game season at some point. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. YouTube.com/BengalsTV. We are rapidly approaching 18,000 subscribers. Let's see if we can make that happen here on today's show. Help us out. Hit that sub button right now.